higher education, right? They're dropping out of the workplace at rapid rates. Like there's a lot of things that people hold on to that is not about the big man upstairs, but those beliefs are not transferring over to younger people. Younger people are not seeing, not constructing the world in similar ways. And in moments of crisis, in moments of disruption, over and over, right? The cycles of economic disruption that we continue to have over and over and over, right? People are looking for, not everyone, but there are people who are looking for other ways, who didn't grow up with religion, who don't have the same sort of relationship with religion. They are looking for something that sounds or feels like there's some structure in a disruptive, seemingly normless world. And it's not completely, this cycle is not new, which is one of the reasons why, people often laugh when they say, oh, religion is going to die off now, right? God is dead. The world is, the world is moving on. We're much more modern and much more sophisticated. And a lot of people laugh because these cycles are not necessarily.
I just want to mention one thing, brother. Mel had put in the chat earlier, like a long time ago. I don't know if you saw it, but it was an actual article from the Washington Post on the decline in male jobs more recently. And the thing that stuck out to me in the article was the researcher from the University of Michigan said that it's not all retirement and education. There are guys just dropping off the planet. They're not looking after their kids. They're not in school. They're not in the labor force. Across the board, when we look at men, we see challenges that they face that leave too many men disconnected. That's one of the reasons why I brought up the sort of religious piece, the sort of the revival that I was talking about and put in the chat, the Porch church in I think it's in Texas. Because that quote from Betsy Stevenson, who was a professor of economics at the University of Michigan, made me think that's what I was seeing in the eyes when I went to the revival several months ago now. I went to this revival, and I'm calling it revival. It was a 3-night little service, but it scared me so bad I didn't go back after the first night. But it reminded me of the look I saw in those young men, the young men's eyes. I understand this has been happening. In fact, it showed the trend line from like 2008 and the men in the workforce up until the present. And it does speak to some of the things you were saying, but that quote really, really stuck out to me because of the way in which I, kind of saw the sort of those young men at the revival a few months ago.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I apologize. I wasn't. I was reading the article as you all were talking, and so I didn't mean to sort of speak against that article. I actually agreed. I was sort of trying to talk about some of the other things that I've heard in the conversation, but I agree with that. I mean, I know I'm not trying to start a gender war or anything like that, but like we have talked about on this app, you've heard in other rooms, the conversations around sort of gender and people's, sort of the constructed quote unquote roles around gender and expectations and all those things. And at some point, those are right. Gender is an organizing principle, right? And
Brother Lucky, can you expound on that? What do you mean? Gender is an organizing principle?
So gender, one of the ways that we sort of organize identity, responsibility, norms, right? Sort of the expectations about what we expect from certain people, right? How we socialize kids is around gender. Like there are certain expectations, and I'm not saying every single individual down to a T has this, but we can generally talk about sort of all of us, even if we don't sort of ascribe to them, what um, what are quote unquote uh, the and I'm using air quotes. I'm just gonna say it, and y'all just deal with it. But we generally have an understanding of what society understands as a man, a boy, a girl, right? And so those are when I say sort of gender is an organizing principle. It sort of organizes and constructs the way that we expect others to behave, what sort of assumptions we have placed on ourselves. We have a certain expectation of how people are supposed to talk, behave, look, dress, engage. Um, when we assign them a particular, or we assume a particular gender identity.
Okay, thank you.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yep.
And so as such, right, in the same way that women are, often confronted with, you know, marriage, children, um, the expectations around parenting, chores, the penalty for having a child and coming back to the workplace. There are similar, um, not equally, but there are similar expectations around men. And as individuals, we often take on those identities, right? So one of the issues around toxic masculinity that people talk about are, one of the reasons why it's toxic or pervasive is because people internalize those. And so what happens when you are not able to fulfill the expectations that your parents have of you, the way that you've been socialized, the way that other people expect of you, the way that society constructs what it means to be a heterosexual man? How do you sort of wrestle with those things, right? Now, you can say, well, I don't care about those things. Yeah, okay, fine. At an individual level, there are people who don't conform to those things. But that doesn't mean that everyone does. And that doesn't mean that you are free from every sort of pressure. And so people are being confronted, young men, boys, are being confronted with realities that men behave in particular ways, but the the economic circumstances that are befalling all of us don't necessarily make that a reality, right? Women have entered the workforce. They've been entering the workforce. They are economically independent of men. In the past, we've done a lot in our society, right, to construct the dependence of women to men, right? Like that's just a fact. You can read the accounts of all the ways Charlotte Perkins Gilman talked about all the ways that that society was set up to construct the dependence of women on men, right? So now that we've moved away from some of those sort of forced ways that women are dependent, what are men to do in a society that still expects them to behold or uphold traditional aspects of masculinity, maleness, malehood, but not have those realities, right? They're not entering. They're not entering. They're not going to college, right? The jobs that they have, because we have a real and true division, a gender division of labor. What happens when male work leaves the leaves the society, right? Starts dwindling, right? What happens when, I was just reading another article that talked about all the sort of ways, so you got declining health and disability. You have a skill mismatch and educational gaps. You have technological disruption and automation, stagnant wages and low status, right? Like the ways that we have formed the jobs that have been successful for men with the declining. Sorry, I'm all over the place. You have We have a diminishing and dwindling middle class, right? What does that mean for the jobs that have traditionally been a part of that middle class, lifestyle, right? All of these things sort of are connected, right? But we don't have, as a society, we still have the expectations, right, on men and women to perform tasks that go far beyond the realities that we live in right now, right? And so we have disruption. We have men who are finding ways to deal with their realities, right? And I'm not excusing people's violent and aggressive and antagonistic behaviors. I'm just trying to give a larger context, right? This is, and so what I mean by this has happened before, and I'll end here and I'll shut up and I will not speak for a few hours. But this is consistent with, I'll just say this is sort of traditional sociology. Traditional sociology has talked about sort of the rapid increase of, or the shifts, right, in sort of the norms, values, and expectations, and then the larger sort of societal structural changes that are taking place. And when one moves faster than the other, you have disruption. It's called, Durkheim talked about normlessness. Merton talked about, anomie, right, the strain between what individuals are facing and what what the expectations are, and the realization that they can't meet those expectations that society has for them for whatever reason. All right, I'm done. Sorry.
We was waiting for Baber. We was waiting for the Baber drop.
Yes.
You done ran through the whole thing. We got one-on-one, and we got one-on-one in a 30-minute lecture. I mean, let's go.
Your mama, that was less than 30 minutes, but that was good, brother. Thank you.
Hey, brother, I need you to sign so I just get my free credits, by the way.
Oh, trust me, it's even more painful.
This is the largest. This is the largest intro to sociology on all of the internet, in all of the world, in fact. Shout out to Nubia. Shout out to Karen Hunter and Greg Carr.
Well done, brother.
I'm just playing.
But thank you, brother, for substantiating what the data actually says, right? Men are losing their minds because that traditional concept, which, by the way, was not very favorable to men. And I would be curious one day just to hear you speak on those things and expound on them. Men had higher rates of death than women because they typically work to death. Men were not, especially black men, were not allowed to really, be human, in a sense, right? Like, you're gay if you do this, you're gay if you do that. I think we should really have those conversations without the trolling, because it's become so normalized. Like, I kind of get it why men are just I don't know. It's just, yeah. I think that this is a great opportunity for men to redefine themselves, to be perfectly honest. The old views, and I'm not taking up for men, I'm just merely looking at the data, but y'all didn't have it so well like before with that idea of the patriarchy, right? Like, it didn't really work out for y'all. You just kind of worked and then you died. Like, I'm just saying.
Can I be heard? Can you guys hear me?
We
can hear you.
Brother, the part about, women on the rise, taking, some of these positions, and then the men feel like, well, what am I supposed to do? And then holding on to some of these old traditional ideas versus adapting to the, place on where you are today. I thank you so much. I mean, I really wish, you would, allow yourself to present this, feels like they might feel like it's tearing them down, and they want to obviously fight, and that's rightfully so. But perhaps maybe just somebody blazing over a recording and they hear such, it might just be able to plant the seed. A lot of times the seed can't be planted in here because the soil is too thick, and it's thick with the ego and all kinds of other different things, especially being on an act. But I really appreciate how you articulated it in such a way. I think it was gentle enough to be able to pierce somebody's heart. So thank you. And it wasn't antagonistic. Also, encouraging. Okay, I'm fine.
I love whoever that was.
It was in the background.
It's my child.
That was so sweet.
Everybody was cheerleader.
Brother, I'm gonna just tell you something that I won't tell you in the back channels, but I need to know how you come. That's, see, we holding each other accountable.
I think that would be fascinating just to present the data, because I hate the conjecture, right? I just love looking at the data. Like, I think that men have a right to be upset in this regard, right? Like you said, when things change too quickly, it can cause severe disruptions.
I think so. I think it is, and this is where it becomes a little diabolical, because there are a lot of voices that are sort of reinforcing that everything is fine, and that it is that everything is fine. And so what it does for a lot of folks is, with, I think, and there's a lot of things, but again, sort of the growing isolation of people. I think that also makes those narratives even louder, because I was looking at I was reading some stuff about hookup culture, and this was a while ago. But you talk to people, and they'll tell you, these are young people. They'll tell you what they do. They again, we've seen sort of the trends around sort of not having sex, not engaging in sexual activity, and it's not it's not the majority, but it's a significant group of of that population. And they'll say, okay, I'm not having this, but I think everybody else is, right? Or I think, and so then there are other questions people will ask, and so they have this sort of warped sense of what's going on, but they believe that they're the one who's the outlier, right? And so I think the same is true with some of the struggles that men are having, where these narratives exist about what it should be, what it is, or what's happening, right? That don't speak to what's actually going on, and people aren't talking to each other, and and so they believe that they're the only one, right? And then they find out that other people are struggling, and then they become resentful because they're the only ones. They think they're the only ones who are going through something, and we haven't really provided narratives. I mean, I've talked about this before. Again, I'll show back to this. I think institutions are really important. what institutions communities build for their people. Like these narratives don't just change on their own. And the issues that people are dealing with, if they feel isolated, they will make their own meanings. And when people, and this goes for children, right? This is why, like, not having conversations with children, not having age-appropriate conversations with children about things is frowned upon, because people make their own meanings, and oftentimes those meanings are wrong, but they are trying to make sense of the world around them. And so when they do so in isolation, and when they think that they're the ones who are sort of getting the short end of the stick with the old reinforcement of what they quote unquote are supposed to be doing, they think they can achieve that because, you know, either something they did, right, or something, something they're not doing correctly, or, they just got the wrong end. You got a lot of resentment. And social media often does not help those conversations. It can, but yeah, I think institutions that are purposeful and sort of reaching out to people, and I think that's one of the reasons why the church is people are seeking the church, because that is an institution that more or less is in every community, right? There's a visible, people know where they can go, or at least have an idea of where they can go.
And in the past, I think.
I'm gonna be real quick. There's power in testimony. And what you said. See, if people are speaking about the good things that are happening, and someone who's young and who's struggling, it's very difficult for them to have hope and believe. But people got to get back to testifying and, telling their story so that someone else can dream and believe. Go ahead, I'm sorry,
No, brother, I was going to say, I think there's some scholar who's written about the ways in which churches provide social structures, or sort of what the politicians might call wraparound services for communities. We're waiting for, I wish we could bring him on the app. That's what I wish we could do.
Brother Messi, remember when I was arguing with a certain your favorite atheist, and they kept saying the way that we save the black community is we get it right to be an atheist, and I was trying to tell them, you think that would be the answer, but these niggas that don't go to black church are worse. They kept telling me, oh, the black church is the problem, and I was trying to tell these niggas, like, no, it's not the problem. Your beef with rape, it doesn't mean you should shit on the institution, because we see when these niggas fall out of this institution, what happens to them?
Dr. Library Card, I was there when you had that conversation. And wait a minute, want to create an institution of their own without purpose.
That's what I'm trying to get them to understand. So, like, when you shit on the black church as an extension of your beef with organized religion, it creates an environment where niggas start doing this multiracial shit where the values are all fucked up. Like, it's all mixed up over there on the other side. But y'all's beef with organized religion makes you shit on something that is not politically what you believe is problematic, but that's just how it all gets wrapped up in.
That's good,
I agree. I'm not even gonna get into the black church in this space.
I know you don't know nothing about it.
It's a rough topic. I mean, I'll just say that having spaces to gather in person are important. saying social media, social connection, like any form of social connection, can be positive in the sense that it can help with sort of emotional well-being, sort of the feelings of isolation, but also, I mean, I've said this in other spaces. One of the things about the churches, and religious institutions is that it also allows for people to gain a sense of cohesion, collectiveness, shared understanding. I mean, not everybody in the church historically has believed in everything that the church espouses. Not every member, not every person who's been in the church is a Christian, right? Especially in the Black church, right? But it has been a space where people have developed language, have developed a sense of connection, and those things are important. They just are, and it could be maybe another space, but religion as a sort of a cohesive unit has been useful and valuable outside of the Black religious tradition. Like, religious belief has been sort of another organizing sort of unit that people have used throughout history. Um, and it's been a valuable space, right? Like the Black church isn't unique in that aspect. We just, talk about it because it created, in more modern times, a culture and a group of people. It helped shape. It didn't do it, exclusively by itself, but it helped shape sort of a culture and create a culture of people in a more modern time that did not exist before. And so we just have a lot of historical, tracking of this sort of modern phenomenon. But yeah, it's important. Institutions are important. And so again, and I think that's a consistent thing that we talked about in other days in this room, right? Going back to the importance of institutions, valuing the role of institutions in American life and society. It's kind of cool.
I've said this before, and it's just my own conjecture that the church also like helped to enact shame. Because the church was community. The church was also a social place. But I remember hearing lots of times, not directed at me, but just, like better to marry than to burn. And a lot of those things, right? Like to be fiscally responsible or conservative. That's the manner in which I was reared. And I think that without that community judgment, so to speak, not like clubhouse judgment, right, which is based largely on boredom. You know what I'm saying? Like, I said this before and it was taken the wrong way, but it's just my thoughts. I think that like when we as a society kind of moved away from that it kind of took away shame, right? Because you can be anonymous and be a fool, but when we were all more so in community by proximity, you really didn't have that option. And I think that has also made a lot of changes. So I do agree with what Dr. Library Card put in the chat, that church has hurt a lot of people. But I just remember there just being more of community accountability, if that makes sense, for both genders, the expectations, the desired outcomes.
Also, personally, like, we don't have to get into more like social structures of it all, just a personal accountability to. That's why I be getting on the niggas that's claiming to be Christian in here and they don't go to church because they're afraid to be held accountable or to be disciplined, to follow a hierarchical structure within the community, or to do what you said you was gonna do and show up. They scared. So
yeah, I would agree. Or more like what I see sometimes is more like an entitlement, right? Like, you're not going to tell me what to do, that kind of thing. Because there's also like a submission in that regard, right? I don't mean
I agree with you, but that's what I was saying. Separating it from gender, there is a sort of submission to the structure, to the leadership that these niggas don't have because they don't go. They don't in their bedroom, so they don't have to submit to nothing but the computer, mouse, and the Dorito.
That's nasty word. I was gonna say Cheetos because that's messier. But
right,
Cheetos
hot Cheetos is hot Cheetos.
The Doritos are good because the breath is stinking.
Or Takis, they love them goddamn Takis.
But you know what? I mean, y'all. I'm thankful that y'all got yourselves together because y'all was going crazy. But I just want to say something that I didn't say earlier, and I'm thankful that Brother Messi, stopped his trolling. He put down the sword of trolling to give us an opening into his brilliance, and I'm grateful, and we're better for it. That's number one. Number two, this is why I often come here, and y'all think I'm playing, but I'm dead ass. Black men need order. They want to be the head, but don't want to lead. They gotta get it together. They really do. I mean, there's a thing so y'all hear me talk about this sometimes as well, which is this idea of ordos amores, the order of love. Y'all gotta get it together.
Can you say that louder for the people in the back?
I'm done speaking, Sherry.
I know y'all trying to tempt me into a gender war.
No. We actually want you to just stay on mute. We've been having a wonderful
y'all a circle. This is what we call a circle.
What
we call
All right, I've been moderating from the goo. They've been going for hours with very fruitful conversations.
It was great conversation.
Yeah, because
no one time.
Am I allowed to speak? May I speak, please?
No.
If you gonna try to I'm gonna be honest.
That's the problem right there.
No. We see. This is the thing. You come in. I see what you wrote in the chat. Like, why can't you come in and try to engage in a conversation?
That's what I just tried to do. That's what I just tried to do.
Add to it and move forward.
That's what I just tried to do.
No, in the chat you chastise because you don't even know what we saying.
No, I didn't. Listen.
You heard one thing and you trying to take out your belt. Put your belt on.
I'm not fighting you today.
Put your stomach in your pants and pull your pants up.
I'm not going to
zip them up.
I love you too much. I'm not doing it. So I will say there is a misunderstanding and a conflation between your pastor, how he interpreted and presented the word, and the church being the body of Christ. That should be distinguished. And you should understand that there are some men who don't know what they're doing, but have the ambition, and I would even say the desire, and they would say that they have the calling, but yet they don't know what they're doing. And then I would say that there are certain denominations at certain time periods that don't know what they're doing. Why? Because the church is just men trying to figure it out, human beings. So we have to try to understand that, the body of Christ is imperfect. I would even say a work in progress. And you got to be able to distinguish between the church and some man's interpretation of the word and presentation of the word. Thank you. Have a nice day.
But your mom and before y'all respond, y'all don't have to, please. I just want to say, your mama, one thing that I feel like I learned from the church when I'm always talking about discipline, there's a certain, because of the hierarchy, and what people, even the way that we use like the term elders in the church, that people put an amount of work in, whether that's committing to attending services, committing to volunteer in the community, committing to read something weekly or 2 times a week or 3 times a week. That level of commitment, it shows you what you have to do to be esteemed in that same way. And when you were saying there's a lot of people trying to be the head, they're trying to be the head without doing what being the head requires, right? So they don't want to uplift their community. They don't want to reach out and uplift the kids. They don't want to read the Bible. They don't want to be held accountable to doing things that they say they're going to do, but they want to be crowned the head automatically. That's why these niggas need to go back into the church. They think logging on is the same amount of work as people who commit their time and their money.
And also the church took care of the community. I remember when my kids were little, this is anecdotal, but I didn't want to take them to a daycare just yet. So where did I find, an elder who, was needed a little cash and or just watch the kids out of the love of her heart? The church. When you needed a babysitter, when the church took care of the local neighborhoods, the churches have food pantries. My church has Black dentists. We do free all kind of stuff. There's a food pantry. There's like a Tide pantry. They, all kinds of things, right? So I think that that's also important. And I love what Brother said earlier. I think I caught him saying that not all members of the church were Christians. And I think we need to kind of get back to that, right? But anywho.
I think that's right. I mean, when you think about, you know what, and I saw that video of those kids trying to read a few sentences.
Oh, Lord, wasn't that bad, Michelle?
That was terrible. And then you think about, yes, you could talk about the things about church you don't, the church that you don't like. It's not perfect or whatever. But you had Sunday school teachers that were actual teachers that taught children how to read. The importance of reading texts like the Bible so they can become better readers. And if they recite it out loud, they become better speakers. Their speech is much better. I mean, there is a cultural component to Black churches that we seem to also not want to appreciate enough. Yeah, Sherry, I put it in the chat. Every 5th Sunday, for Youth Sunday, having to get up there and read the announcements, having to get up there and do whatever it was my grandmother told me I was supposed to do that Sunday. Having to do your Easter pageants, your Christmas pageants, your Mother's Day pageants.
For 1 second. Brett, Reform, there's another politically correct room open with John Kitover streaming this conversation. It's in the chat, just so FYI. Go ahead, Brett.
Okay. Oh, am I the only one in here? Oh,
Is everybody at?
Wait, Penny's down there.
Yeah, I'm about to go. Y'all want me to boom it, right?
No, they can have the conversation.
Oh, okay.
They're not having a conversation. It's a fake.
Oh no, I'm about to go in there. I'm gonna report it.
I don't see it though.
It's in the chat.
I just put the link in the chat.
He's got a fake house though.
Oh,
what the fuck is the title? Ultra elite liberal. Look at here, you son of a bitch. I wasn't gonna troll him.
That's not reform.
Record this, you crackhead motherfucker.
Oh my God.
I went in there and I was like, why is he talking?
Okay, he has a whole fake house. Yo, please report this house, because he is a whole fake house. But y'all, please
I
continue.
thought it was another. I thought he opened a room and politically correct.
He got a whole fake ass politically correct house. Weirdo. Because he's not a mod. He can't, an admin. But y'all, please continue the conversation.
Sorry, Brie, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I did.
Oh, no, you're fine. Dr. Particular, said we should play music, I guess, in effort to stall him out or whatever. But, yes. But yeah, I was just saying that, like, having to do that, you know, from the time I could read up until when I left for college, like, if you are a very shy person, all of a sudden, it's not saying that you're not shy. It's not to say that you don't have nerves. It's just to say that as you get older, having to build that skill, by the time you go off to college and you have to give your presentations, it's no different than having to give those Easter speeches. And the things that I had to do in effort to get through an Easter speech, as far as learning where to focus, having to enunciate, having to make sure I, can pronounce the words properly, all of these things, you're able to do it once you get to college. You're able to do it once you matriculate on through life, and you might have to do presentations for things and for people. It's just, there's skills that are taught there. And even though, as a kid, hate doing it, as an adult, I can be very quick to accept the fact and admit the fact that, like, yeah, part of the reason why I'm able to speak the way that I am and do the things that I do is because I had to do all that in church as a kid.
You could keep talking. I'm just playing this so it's over.
Oh, you good? We have a little background.
Okay.
Institutions provide. Well, I'll say this. I mean, I think, there's a, rites of passage, I think, are important, right? Celebrations and moments of highlighting moments in the life course, I think, are really important. I know that people have talked about, the excess of, like, the celebrations of, preschool and high school and all that stuff. And, I don't need to mention those to go down a rabbit hole. I think, and I'm not saying those specific ways of engaging are, great. You got to spend, $1,000 and all that stuff. But I do think, thinking about how, like, what sort of moments we celebrate, again, as a community, right? As an ethnic group, what sort of collective ways do we acknowledge sort of transitions among our people, right? How do we talk about the experiences of, of changing, right? Is it just that we have, being a little facetious, but, is it just that we have to talk about what to do with the police officers, right? Like, is that, that's a consistent narrative that we have. I'm not saying it's not important, but, and I also don't hear about other ways that we celebrate or we acknowledge or we instill what it means to transition over time, right? I was reading a really awesome piece about the way that other cultures, or that cultures in general, celebrate the like baby teeth, right, when they fall out, and what that means for different cultures, right, and how they actually engage in the process of acknowledging this sort of moment of change, and what that means for parents. The role that the celebration has for parents as they are dealing with children getting older, and what that means for their relationship to them, and all of this. It was really sort of a beautiful discussion of that, and it you know thing about what does it mean for other cultures celebrate you know um, 15 or 16 and all those things, and what does it mean for people to celebrate that, and what are the messages that they're also instilling at that time, right? What does it mean for who that person, you know what are the expectations, right, about a person, and it doesn't mean that everything that gets instilled or sticks. Culture is not something that's just sort of that's passed down and kept the same way, preserved. Not all aspects of culture work like that, but there are those moments where if a culture is to live and exist beyond its current moment, there has to be some transmission of it, and there has to be a way to articulate that that resonates with the generation that you are trying to instill those things in. And then what does that mean for, what they take, what they, adapt, what do they continue, and what do they change, right? And then how do they disseminate it and pass it? I think those are important, and I think we often miss those. And it can't just be, um, I'll stop there because I don't want to go there.
Not the rabbit hole.
I kind of cleared out the bottom because y'all haven't been in another room or no followers. I'm sorry you got booted. Well, I'm apologizing. They've already been booted, but I'm determined to figure out. I wonder if it's the Anon, what they're streaming from. But I'm sorry, y'all. It was a really great conversation.
How you doing, Mickey?
Hello, crackhead.
Don't do that, man. I'm trying to be nice to you, bro. Don't do that.
I already messed up my no more trolling, so I might as well be authentic. Which also gives glory and honor to God. I'm going to eat dinner, but y'all have the conversation. And please report that house. I have reported that house like 10 times. Patty should tell them she's going to not have politically correct anymore unless they close that other house down. But y'all are welcome to continue the conversation. Any conversation.
Have we won the war yet?
That was a whiplash. Thank you for the just for opening my mind a little bit today. I appreciate it, and everybody who contributed. It's really great to listen to.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Messi. It's so much better being friendly with you. Remember the rooms that James used to do, y'all? Didn't he also do like sociology, psychology kind of thing?
I was actually thinking about James because you said you.
Yeah.
Where is he at?
I don't know. He's been gone for a minute, but I always appreciated those rooms. Plus, he was funny as hell.
Oh, he's working. He's getting work done.
Oh, well, congratulations to him.
Yeah, we're also being streamed to YouTube, but I'm sorry, y'all. That title just took me out. Wait, what is it again?
That's why she played the music because it was streaming on YouTube.
Ultra. Oh yeah. Ultra elite liberal intellectuals. Thank you, I guess. Ultra elite, goddamn.
And when I went in there, Sherry was talking, and I was confused.
Yeah, he doesn't stream all the time. But y'all that belong to that house, shame on y'all.
People probably belong to it thinking it's this one.
They do, but it's like some of the same people, yeah, because this house has, well, most of the people aren't on here anymore, but yeah, we reported him. I reported him on YouTube. I reported him on Clubhouse. I have all iterations of him blocked, but oh well. Thank you, Maya, because, yeah. Ugh. But yeah, I wish you would do those rooms, because I loved when James did those rooms, and he would break down that topic and everything.
Yeah, he's real good on. No, I mean, listen, I can't keep a room. That's y'all. Y'all had a good discussion. I just took the end a lot. That's all. Y'all had y'all were willing to engage one another, so I was like, well, this speak after y'all. So I appreciate it.
Oh no, F. I think Manfinity irritated First Lady so bad he's gonna be blocked for at least a good month or two. He's gonna get that TC level block. I think he's done.
I just don't understand what the purpose is, but I don't want to also fuel a conversation that will center people being weird. It's just very interesting, different.
What was that, Penny?
As I was saying, I just don't understand what the motivation is. It's just weird.
You know, as Black people, we are never alone. Not even on Clubhouse. At least he called us ultra elite liberal intellectuals.
I'm proud of that, even though I don't fit into that. I'll take it.
Thank you, Mr. Streaming Weirdo. I'm sorry. Why am I really getting old? Because I really did raise my voice like when you. We are not the only group that he streams. But yeah. If y'all go in a house and you see a weird white man that's modded, you're probably in the wrong politically correct. There's only one Anon in here. It must be him. Wait, let me look again. Yep.
Now, if every mod blocked that person, they wouldn't be able to be anonymous in here. Is that correct or no?
No, you can be anonymous even if you're blocked. I mean, you know what? I don't know. I think it just, I think you did do lose room one time, Corey. I think when you're anonymous, because I do that, like if I go on the dark side or something, I'll go anonymous. Did y'all see they had all of that mess? The other couple, anyway, Penny said when you talk about it, they come in here, so I ain't saying it. You can't like chat or like react to anything because it's like you're anonymous. You know, you can't even like a comment. So maybe you override.
Yo, mama, May I speak now?
Mm-hmm. I say my room.
Is that a yes or a no?
It ain't my room. What I can't help?
So I can't speak no more. I still can't speak. Would you inform me when I am allowed to speak?
Just speak. She's playing the music for the streaming. Just speak.
I'm waiting for an official notification from your mama that I'm allowed to speak.
Thank you, Mama.
Speak, please.
Thank you.
Can you send a notification to him when he goes to the goo? Please and thank you.
Don't do that.
Why are you being so difficult?
Listen.
You know your compadre got banned. You better behave.
Wait, who got banned?
I didn't realize y'all were two different people until y'all were both on the stage at the same time.
They do sound alike.
They really do. I swear to God, I thought y'all were the same person for years. Yes, Manfinity. He got banned to Hades yesterday.
Y'all need to leave that good brother alone. We don't sound nothing alike.
It's crazy how you're calling him a good brother now when generally you call him a liar and a dishonest person.
Look, nobody's perfect. So, and I as a Christian, I have to forgive my brother 7 times 77. So there you go.
I used to try that when I made people I'm dating mad. I was like, you gotta forgive me 70 times, 70 times.
Listen, just because you use the word nefariously don't mean I would.
I didn't. That's true. I was saying you can't be. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Mama, you are diabolical.
Why is people in the chat talking something? I'm on the dating apps. No, I don't go on the dating apps.
Who?
If the dating apps is Clubhouse, because Clubhouse keep the back channels hot.
Oh, God.
Your mama's a high value woman.
Yo, mama, what celebrity, just so I can paint a mental picture, what celebrity do you
No.
Okay, 1 second.
wait, who said no?
I was talking to my dog.
There is one that people often tell me, especially when I have my hair cut really, really low, but I will not tell y'all because then y'all will be going Googling, looking at the lady, and then thinking that I look like the lady. It's just because I got a skinny face like that. That's the only reason why. But I'm not going to hush, brother.
You're not going to divulge the celebrity that you look like?
Okay, send it. Let me know.
You already know kind of who it is, brother, because I already just gave you that much. Hold on, I'll send you that.
What type of paranoia is this? We're talking about a proxy, your mama. Oh my.
Wait, can I ask why you need to know? Or you
I already told her to paint a mental picture.
Whatever mental picture you currently have is enough for your mama, I'm certain.
This is insane. Why do people need to paint a mental picture?
Right.
Let
That's
my
right there.
voice. Let my voice be sufficient.
Fine. You was talking how the back channels were back channeling. You was talking about.
Yeah, because her voice is popping. Have you not heard your mama?
Let me just tell you, concrete. There is nothing attractive about your mom. I'm funny looking. I got one leg longer than the other. You know, that's it.
Your mama, do you have a googly eye like Cash Patel?
No. I don't have a googly eye, but you know, I got a funny looking smile. You know, my teeth are jumbled up on the insides.
I'm trying not to laugh.
Somebody tried to call me asking for a mental picture creepy. Is that creepy to say? Why people try so hard to be weird? I don't know.
Somebody said I was fat and worked at Walmart. I mean, I did used to. Why do people keep saying I'm fat? Do I say I'm fat? Hey, maybe I got. Let me go eat some almonds. 1 second.
Y'all done turn your mama into an almond mom. This is crazy.